Hey buddy, go to sleep.
But I'm not tired.
Do it.
Oh, okay.
Surprise!
What?
Ha! You fell for our ultimate trap.
Does this actually accomplish anything at all?
Ladies, gentlemen, and monsters of all ages, welcome one and all to another psychotic break as I try my best to not absolutely lose my sanity while reading questionable takes on the Monster Hunter series. Everything from which NPCs are useless, to which weapons are the best, to which mechanics should just straight up be removed from the game. If someone has said it about Monster Hunter and it is a little bit controversial, you can bet your I'll be here to call it out and give my own opinion on the situation. Firstly, a quick disclaimer that I don't hate or even dislike any of the people who said these things. I just heavily disagree with whatever it is that they happen to say in this specific moment. No hard feelings. I mean it. I love you. As well, if you get the same enjoyment that I do from seeing these, opinions, I guess you could call them, then have a follow over at the @MonsterHunterTakes Twitter account, who has been collecting a large number of people's bad takes on this series. Alright, Commander, if you'd like to get us started. In relation to the Rodobaan hammer, the raw DPS dealt by this hammer is nothing to scoff at, and it comes with the incredibly useful ability to put enemies to sleep. This is considered essential for solo players, as they can quickly knock out a monster to give them breathing room to recover or escape. Many players like to put the monster to sleep with this hammer, swap for a stronger hammer to deal damage while it wakes up, then swap back to knock it out again.
Okay, now that is one way to start. Were you smoking the Moga Village Chief's pipe? Because Jesus H, son of God, Mazios, you must be extremely out of it to suggest this as a way that many people hunt. The word many means a large number of. In this case, a large number of hunters. Now, I'm sure if you just read the mechanics and never play the game itself, I'm sure it's easy to make this leap that many hunters would do this. Sleep weapons put things to sleep, but have less raw attack because it has sleep. Okay, makes sense. While asleep, the first hit something takes does twice as much damage. Well, it would be smart to go grab a higher damage weapon to take advantage of this, right? Sure, I mean, if this wasn't Monster Hunter, sure, total sense. But in this game, if you manually apply sleep to a target through the status, it lasts for 30 seconds. I don't know where you have been hunting monsters, but if you are able to put them to sleep, run to a tent, switch your build, run back, and wind up your strongest attack regularly, by the way, not just in one zone or against one monster, but regularly. This guy suggests that this is a super normal way of just generally hunting with the hammer. In fact, literally placing this weapon at number 2 on the list of best hammers in base world as a result. This entry stinks of I was asked to write an article about a game I read for 2 hours and only played for 4. Just someone missing base functions of the game mechanics but having a general overarching idea of what's going on. And I've said it before, but I'll say it again. If you're just a noob on the internet asking politely for some help, there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. I was a noob at one point in time. We were all noobs at one point in time. But there is a difference between being a noob asking for help and being someone who is being paid real world money to write about video games and doesn't even put in the time to fact check the article. Ask anyone who plays the game about their thoughts on what you've written, or even fully understand the sleep mechanic before writing about it like it was bestowed upon us by the hand of God, the most useful thing in the world. You know what? I'll go a step further. I bet you this person has never even crafted the Rodobaan hammer, not to mention used it. No way that you could do that and come away thinking that the second best way to play hammer is to switch weapons repeatedly mid-quest every time you sleep something for 30 seconds. It's not! Commander, next.
Anyone who buys Rise is a traitor to the Monster Hunter values. Things should get an upgrade, not a downgrade with new products. People willing to buy and play it are the same Nintendo shills who buy the same rehash Pokemon games. No respect for gaming. If you can't put Monster Hunter World level graphics into a new game, it should not be brought into existence.
And now away from ignorant game journalists for a second and into the indignant consumers. You're off base here, friend. First off, I will say this a bit more calmly because I really want people to hear it for the truth that it is. Graphics do not make a game. If graphics are the best part of your game, then your game is probably not very good. If graphics are the worst part of your game, it can still be crazy great. Consider, for example, Minecraft. Do I need to elaborate? I don't think so.
Monster Hunter as a franchise has always alternated between home consoles and portable consoles, and as a result of this, is needing to match the specifications of the system the game will be played on. At least in my personal opinion, this game looks like a pure advancement from what Monster Hunter World was on almost every level. Being unhappy about the game from a personal level is one thing. You have the right to your own opinion. But if your opinion includes labeling those who do buy the game and do like the game as a traitor to the values of Monster Hunter, then you get no sympathy from me. I don't get for a moment how someone who claims to be the virtuous overlord in charge of the definition of what Monster Hunter values are complains about the game losing some graphical fidelity to go to portable consoles. This is quite literally written within the fabric of the history of the Monster Hunter franchise. We do it regularly. It's just what we do, and it was expected by anyone who has ever really looked into the patterns of these games. Not only are you ousting yourself here as someone who doesn't really understand the franchise as well as you seem to think you do, but you're also insulting us, the Monster Hunter fans, for not being surprised by this and continuing on to buy a game that looks absolutely fantastic and continues the things that we want continued. Again, you can disagree with me if you want, but when you start getting controlling about how other people can think, I will not let that stand. Commander?
In an article directly comparing the good and bad points of Monster Hunter versus Dauntless, the author had this to say about preparation. Preparing is half the battle. Even after players upgrade their gear, they need to restock some key items in their inventories like traps. They also need to go visit the muscular chef to eat. Eating gives players useful buffs and increases their health and stamina. The type of meal players eat can drastically change the difficulty of fights. This usually takes several minutes, including the lengthy cutscene of watching the muscular chef cook your meal.
Alright, let's just go at this one step at a time, shall we? Even after players upgrade their gear. I've played Dauntless, and surprising no one, you also upgrade your gear there. Don't refer to it here as if it's something that you exclusively have to do in one over the other. They need to restock some key items like traps. Well, except not only are they in your saved item loadouts if you use those, so that only takes a couple of seconds, but also you don't even need them for a number of monsters which can't even be trapped. And then on top of that, Dauntless has potions and grenades and such which require preparation just before a hunt the same way that we do it. They also need to visit the chef to eat. The type of meal can drastically change the difficulty of a fight. Whoa, hold up there, here we go! Food buffs matter. Food buffs will almost never be the difference between a successful hunt and a failed hunt. I do say almost because maybe you have terrible fire resistance against Fatalis and eating for element resistance is the only thing keeping you from being one-shot by the most random of attacks, but that is not the standard by any means. Apparently, this normally takes several minutes, including a lengthy cutscene of, hey, have you heard of the skip cutscene button? Your job is to write articles about video games. Could you at least send the article to someone who has actually played the entire game to proofread it first? They would literally instantly correct something like this. The cutscenes are cute and they are wonderful, and if you don't want to watch them, you only need to press one button. It's so simple, so convenient. The time required to load an item set in the item box and eat food while skipping the cutscene can all be done in like less than 10 seconds. Things like this, written by people who haven't even put proper time into the game, are what makes people not even try Monster Hunter in the first place, and that is an absolute crime. I hate this. If you get paid to do this, please just put in some effort. You don't even have to know everything yourself, just ask somebody who actually plays the games. It's really not hard.
From the same article from earlier about the best hammers in Monster Hunter World, the number 1 entry, Diablos hammer. Its base attack power is 1196, with bonus ice damage on top. It comes with plus 15 to defense and negative 25% affinity, but this weapon is designed for doing the most damage possible per hit without having to rely on criticals. It's a straightforward weapon designed for straightforward hammer-wielding hunters to put down any monster. It also pairs great with the Bond Strike too.
Why do you hate us? And by us, I mean Monster Hunter players, because I don't think you are one of them. First up, I know it's super pedantic, but these people have put me in a pedantic mood. So the ice damage on the hammer that you referred to as a bonus is not only hidden, but literally makes the weapon worse to have released. So mentioning it in any capacity towards the positive qualities of this hammer is a giant no-no. Remember, this was base Monster Hunter World, where non-elemental boost gave you a 10% damage boost with this weapon and any fully raw weapon, unless you release the ice element for, quote-unquote, a bit of bonus ice damage on top. Now we get to the real meat of this one, however, because holy crap, I become a worse Monster Hunter player by reading these articles, I swear to Christ. This weapon is designed for doing the most damage possible per hit without having to rely on criticals. In Monster Hunter, this sentence is a paradox. For a weapon with 0% affinity to deal as much damage in a hunt as a weapon with even 40% affinity, it would need an absolutely insane increase in raw damage. Crit is not just a nice cherry on top, it's not just something that helps when you want to have a bit more damage. It is what creates the more damage with our numbers. In Monster Hunter, even in base world, with this hammer, it was possible to get extremely high crit chance. If you have full critical boost, which most metasets will, then your critical hits deal 40% more damage than your non-critical hits. In this case, a build with 0% crit would need to somehow manage to have 40% higher attack than a build with 100% crit. Do you see what I'm saying? The math just works out in favor of crit over raw every single time, no matter how you do it. It's just the way that Monster Hunter functions with these numbers. Not to mention bringing up pairing it with the Rodobaan hammer. No one is putting monsters to fucking sleep with the Rodobaan hammer, running to the tent, grabbing their crit-free Diablos hammer and smacking it in the head before it wakes up. And even if they were doing it with a crit, it would do more damage. I'm going to have an aneurysm. I mean, I guess you got the right hammer, correct? Not for the right reasons by any means, but you got it right. One right answer out of 1,000 is still a right answer, I guess. Alright everyone, I've been Con Dinosaur, and these have been my opinions on some other people's opinions on the Monster Hunter series. Do you have any of your own questionable takes on the Monster Hunter series? Have I finally gone over the deep end? No one knows. Like if you like the video, subscribe to the notification bell for more, and most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, stay sweet. This is the brand new outro to tell you all the things that you do that we love, so let's start with something simple and say, oh, we love your eyes. When they're watching us play video games, when we make a bunch of jokes that are kinda lame, or when they gaze upon our failures as we try to kill the monsters or important news about the kingdom and Amelia. Rage, Continent, Hollow, we're all here, talking about the things you want to hear, so if you want to be the first to hear, like and subscribe and the bell and we'll cheer. Some of you are patrons even though we are all the noobs and you're the pros. There's nothing we can do to thank you. No, really, there's nothing we could possibly do. Goodbye.